We were thrilled at Theory to be partnering with Nick. And as you know, I was a product manager on the AdSense team, and the world of AI is absolutely taking over, and a big part of that monetization and the future of it will be driven by Koah.
Well, okay. So Tomasz, I'm going to come back to you, but I'm going to go to Nick first. Let's talk to him for a while here. So Nick, tell us what Koah is and how old is the company even?
Yeah, company is very young. We've moved quickly in this space. I had my dog in the background. So we're a little over a year old. The product's been live for 13 months. And what we do basically is we help the application layer of AI monetize via sponsorships. Very simply, so we install SDKs, and from those SDKs, the applications that use AI, that use generative interfaces, that use kind of anything that's interactive and dynamic, can serve basically a native ad format that works for them, that can help them sustain their growth, their revenue growth, and cover some of those inference costs.
Okay, so let's break it down a little more simply here. So, I mean, on one hand, you have the chat bots, that we're all used to. You also have some of the publishers, I guess. I'm thinking about the ride-hailing company, the Uber Eats type of platforms, right? And there's advertising there, and then you have the brands. So, just help me understand where you fit in there, what the actual product is, and who you're selling to.
Yeah, so we're a marketplace model similar to Uber being the intermediary between the driver and the rider, right? And so we are the intermediary between the inventory, the apps that have space to advertise on, and the advertisers themselves.
Okay. And so what is the actual product that you're selling to both parties?
Yeah, so basically for the advertisers, similar to how they might show up in a banner ad on Google AdSense or a search ad on Google's AdWords, or really actually very similar to what ChatGPT is doing, right? Advertisers are able to come in and buy slots, and what we're selling is basically an HTML snippet, if you will, a part of the publisher or the AI application's real estate that we're carving out as a separate entity to mark this as a sponsored post or a sponsored piece of content. And so the advertiser gets to make sure that they show up, alongside the model response.
So in a world, Nick, where OpenAI is pursuing their own ads, I mean, why is this not something that they could just do themselves and create these products themselves?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question. And I think the easy answer to that is that look at the mobile marketplace, right? So in mobile, we love having all these apps that are free and they're powered by ads. And there is no player that owns more than 50% of the mobile ad market. And yet AppLovin exists as a company that's worth $225 billion on 40% of the mobile market share, right? So it is possible that everyone is able to do this. And by the way, that's, beating Google's AdMob product. And that's a huge company in its own right. So there is just so much inventory, so much opportunity here. I mean, we're about to see the entire internet change from something that's more static and consumable to something that's dynamic and interactive and agentic, right? And so how do we allow sponsorships to exist in there? How do we allow those publishers and people creating great experiences to make money and sustain the business? And, I think that ChatGPT will do their own thing. Maybe they branch off into off-platform similar with Google, and there's plenty of space for all of us to play. There's a lot of publishers out there and a lot of internet experiences that exist.
Tomasz, walk us through your thesis here. Why Koah among all the other companies that are in the space?
Yeah, great question. I mean, you look at the search ads market, it's about 250 billion in size. You look at the social media ads market, it's 265 last year. It was the first time social surpassed search. And both of those and most online advertising is predicated on the idea that there's some data that you can use to target individuals. And the incredible part about AI, as we all know, is the amount of information that we share and the length of the queries that are going into AI. And so we think that the amount of context, the amount of knowledge about a particular user and their wants and desires is strongest, and not by a small amount, within the world of AI. So there needs to be these advertising systems, and we haven't really invested in an advertising company in the last 10 years because of some of the dominance of the existing platforms, but AI changes all that. So we were fortunate to meet Nick and the team, Mike and Herrick, early on in the business and track their growth. And as Nick was saying, the hard part about these businesses, they're marketplaces, just like Uber. You need drivers and you need riders. In the world of online advertising, you need publishers, people building AI applications, and then advertisers who want to appear on those sites. And building that marketplace, seesawing between the liquidity dynamics is not an easy thing. And it was clear to us as we tracked the progress of Koah how well they were executing that liquidity building. And ultimately, like any marketplace, that liquidity is the competitive advantage.
So, Tomasz, you started your career early on before you were investing at Google, working on the AdSense product. And I wonder, as you think about how this marketplace will develop in the AI context, there's going to be a lot that's similar. What do you think that's going to be different about how this is built out and all the ad tech around it?
Great question. I mean, I think conceptually it's similar. You have systems that work for advertisers, systems that work for publishers, application creators, and then a marketplace in between. So buyers and sellers in a marketplace. I think that conceptually is the same. The major change and the reason why we think this market opportunity is even bigger is the quality of the data. So the thing that we learned, Google discovered that it was the best business model on the internet because they knew exactly what you were searching for right at the moment that you were searching for it. And then if you're on Instagram, many people think of the ads on Instagram as part of the product. The ads are so well targeted that it's actually, I'll go buy that sweater from Quince or whatever it is. The great part about AI is now you'll have tremendous context. And so the monetization capability of a publisher should be significantly greater than search or social. Google makes about $120 per user per year. I think it's very easy to see an AI system making $250, $300 per user per year in a way of subsidizing inference costs and driving real business model innovation.
Because of the fact that you have more information about the person, that you can target things better, and ultimately it's a higher conversion likely to a click through or a sale.
Exactly. So at Google, when we were building these machine learning models, the more data we had about who you were, what your age was or age range was, what your interests were, the much better the monetization. And we got orders of magnitude increases in overall ad performance as a result of some of these signals. And so if we look at just think about like a Google search query. I think averages 3.5 words for a Google search query, and they built a $4 trillion company on 3.5 ads targeted on 3.5 words. What can you do with a conversation that measures in the thousands of words?
Nick, tell us, who are the publishers that you're working with right now?
Yeah, so early adopters are similar companies you might expect, like core chat apps. Example would be like Liner. Liner is a search tool for students, similar to kind of like a Perplexity, kind of aimed at graduate level students. A company called Deep AI, for example, which is, the founder of Deep AI has figured out how to be really good at SEO. And so it's a very similar experience to ChatGPT. But if you Google AI chat, you'll actually get them organically showing up before ChatGPT does. And so those are just a couple of examples of kind of early adopters. And then, the direction that we're going, and I think what Tom is explaining very articulately is that this is not just kind of like the chatbot era and these clones and stuff that are kind of popping up, but there's new vertical use cases. There's AI pediatricians, there's AI math tutors, things like that. But there's also now being created dynamic experiences within traditional publishers and people who are kind of already distributed. And so a great example that I like to point to is, for example, Quizlet, right? Quizlet has about 50 million students that use the platform every day, and they're using it to quiz themselves. But now Quizlet has launched a conversational interface, an AI tutor, if you will. And this is very similar to somebody like Duolingo. Duolingo has their math program, and that is like an AI surface area that now is a new surface area that's getting tons of engagement that these companies don't know how to monetize effectively because, like Tomasz says, we actually, they don't know how to take those intent signals and actually make them effective for the user.
And so ultimately the goal for you is to work with some of those larger publishers eventually.
That's correct.
When you have those conversations with them, what concerns, questions do they have for you? Are they even receptive to this? I mean, I'm just imagining the abyss of uncertainty around, we're just trying to figure this out. I mean, just take us inside those conversations.
Yeah, so early publishers that we work with on the chat app side are basically they're just feeling the pain. The reason why we started this company is because so many of these businesses were just struggling to cover the inference costs and actually deliver a great experience to the user. So that's kind of one bucket of customers. And then if you look kind of up market at these other interfaces, and again, like we think that the entire internet is moving towards dynamic interfaces, towards agentic interfaces, right? So eventually everyone will move in this direction, and we have to create personalized user experiences, but also personalized monetization services. And so usually what the companies are sort of worried about when we talk to them is that it's just very early. We're very early in the market, right? People are still learning how these interactive interfaces are going to make sense, how we're going to be able to engage with users. But the main question that people have, and I think, again, the reason why we exist is that they test these AI features. They get great engagement. They get, people love them. They get a bunch of messages saying like, we love this thing. Can we distribute it more? And they're only testing on, 0.1% of their traffic or 1% of their traffic, but they're losing too much money because the inference cost is much higher than hosting fees, right? And so they actually cannot scale those products unless they have a sustainable monetization method to do it. That's why we started the company.
And last question for you here. I just want to make sure I understand the inference costs here in the context that you're talking about it. So explain that for me a little bit. You have these publishers, they're running their own chatbots, and they're saying that we can't even handle the inference load that it requires to run ads, let alone the core chatbot. Is that what it is?
That's right. So if a mobile app today, they're spending maybe a few dollars, per user per year on kind of like hosting costs and everything that comes with, having an app exist. And now you put in this conversational interface and you're actually, it costs you 2-3 cents per session per user, right? And so if the user is there every single day, that becomes significantly more expensive than what it costs to have a free user on the same application in the past, right? And so if they want to deliver these, interactive, personalized experiences, it's simply a more expensive thing to do. And so they can't do it for free forever at scale.
Great. Well, Nick and Tomasz, I want to thank you for coming on. That is Nick Baird from Koah and Tomasz Tunguz from Theory Ventures here on TI TV.